Hey folks, we're back, and I'm your host BKP, and we're here at Circuit World in Blue Ridge. Now, we got a little sun here coming in, and we're getting ready to put the shade up to where it'll block it off. It's been a couple weeks since we had the sun in the morning.
Yep.
Beautiful morning. So it kind of caught us off guard, and we didn't put our shade up to give us a minute. Oh, so you're wondering, oh, Rick's not here. Oh, that's what it is. Bruce is not here. This is Cindy. We're glad to have Cindy. Many of you met Cindy with Rick about a week and a half ago down at the show. You guys, thank you very much for taking that hour. And Cindy has been on with me, but we have Cindy and Jane, and I don't know where we're going this morning, but we're going to start. Now, here's where I want to start. Now, you said you had a surprise. I asked if you guys had something particularly. You said you had a surprise, but before we start, okay, you remember, I'm going to do it again, but hopefully I'll do it better this time. You remember when we were kids and we played that game and we would hide something, and then we would have our friends look for it, and you would say cold.
I love that.
Cold, warm, and you would change direction. So if you're cold, you knew you were going in the wrong direction, right? I got something with this, okay? So then you turned around and you would say, okay, warm, warmer, hot, and you knew you were standing right there on it. That's what John McCain is to this investigation, okay? Trump is that's my opinion, he is saying John McCain, because I'm telling you something, we're hot. Our Congressman Doug Collins has released these testimonies. We have things in there, okay? I know, and you guys know also, that McCain delivered the dossier. My opinion is McCain, when it comes out, he is much deeper than they will talk about. And let me tell you how I know we are there, we're hot, is because if you watch CNN, and I don't recommend it, but I do so I can see, if you watch CNN, MSNBC, any of them, they are going nuts because President Trump has said things about John McCain. It's spinning their heads off. They're going nuts. Why? Why are they working so hard to defend John McCain? Tell us, Jane. I knew you've been waiting.
Well, that I can go down about third level rabbit hole, which I know you don't want me to do about
Go
that.
two. We're going to stop.
Two level rabbit hole. I believe, my sources say that McCain was not only instrumental in the dossier, he helped Clinton, Hillary, and others, Obama, form ISIS. He was instrumental in forming ISIS. And that may shock some of you people, but there are pictures where he is sitting in a big room with the ISIS leaders. He's standing outside of a building with the ISIS leaders, and when they were forming. So McCain, they have so much on McCain that I know a little bit about, and there's more even than they tell you when people who go down the rabbit hole, but they have sources. I don't listen to just anybody that does it. People I've listened to for 2 years.
No, I'm with you on this.
3 years.
And out there, just, not right now because you're watching the show, but later today, Google CIA trains ISIS leaders.
Yeah.
Okay?
There you go. So
Google CIA trains ISIS leaders. I mean, we get an opportunity here. We don't have a lot of time, but we like to, we'll break into some subjects, but go Google that later and get in depth.
I think it's so bad that the government should ask the McCain family to send us back the money we spent on that funeral. It's that bad.
I mean,
and I'm glad.
What say you when the president talks about John McCain? Do you share any of Jane's views on that?
Oh, totally.
Totally. I want to.
Totally.
Can I do that again?
Totally.
I want to clip that. Oh, totally. I want to use. I want that clip because on my show, if she'll sign a release every once in a while, I want Cindy saying, "Oh, totally." Go ahead.
No, I mean, when I sat and watched that funeral, I seethed watching the funeral. However, I thought, to honor someone who has died, I wasn't going to say anything because, as you well know, I'm a Twitter fanatic.
Yes.
And I did go after Meghan McCain a little bit because of some of the things she said at the funeral, which, in my mind, when you're at that place, you're there where when you pass away, when you die, when you leave this world, you want to leave the world with your heart not heavy. You want to forgive. You want to leave the world and meet your maker. eventually. So I'm watching all of this and listening to her and thinking about the things that he did. And I let it go and let it go and let it go. Now that this whole thing has come out again, I can say things. And I have said many things about, you know, I will honor him as a person who was over there fighting for our country. He was a military guy, and I honor the military. I'm sorry that he was a prisoner of war. It had to have been awful. However, when he came back, why you don't think he was a prisoner of war?
He was a prisoner of war, but I'm going to say something after. I can't keep my expressions from rolling around. Go ahead.
No, that's all right.
Go with it.
He came back. He ran for president. He lost. And I think he was very bitter about losing.
Whoa.
But I think...
I don't want to correct you. Bitter, when you said bitter, I want you to keep going, but bitter, he was bitter with George W. in that primary. I mean, he was bitter. He thought he should have been the nominee before George W.
Right.
Right? But go ahead.
Oh, yes.
Keep going.
No. He lost. Then he watches a person that has no respect for him. They have no respect for each other. And, you know, it had to have torn him up. And then he wins on top of everything else. And then he does everything he can before his death to take down Trump. And as far as I'm concerned, he was a traitor to the state of Arizona, and he was a traitor to the American people when he walked in and, you know, decided not to vote against the health care bill. And when he walked out of there and threw his thumb up, and I felt like he was a traitor to us, to his state, to his party, and I think he died as a traitor, which I think is a very big shame for someone like him.
So,
good.
in that line, and may I say, we have not colluded.
No collusion?
No collusion here. We're coming right on.
collusion.
Yeah,
No.
right.
Go ahead.
And I have no ties to Russia. I have a distant cousin. But first of all, I want anyone who's interested. Most people know my husband Bill is a veteran.
Yes.
And I respect veterans beyond belief. I respect anyone that's in the military, but I will tell you that if you want to see where McCain has come from and what happened to him in Vietnam, there is a video on YouTube with, I believe it's 5 of the men with whom he spent time in the Hanoi Hilton. 2 of them are senators now. I mean, they're not just someone off. Not that it matters if you're off the farm. You can say that was not. I wish I hadn't said that. They are senators. That doesn't mean you have to believe them. And they tell you a story that my husband told me he could not believe it. I believe it. These men have nothing. They are in the limelight. They had nothing to gain from that. Only scorn to gain from that testimony. And all 5 of them agree. So. That's as far as I'm going. Go there, find that on YouTube, and you will be shocked and you will be very sad.
Well, let me say this, and let me say, I don't mean to interrupt you, but
okay.
I want you to tell me, because you do study it. I want to tell you a little bit where I'm at on him, and tell me where I'm wrong. I'm going to have to paraphrase, but he comes from privilege. His dad was an admiral, okay? So, first of all, he comes from privilege. Dad's an admiral, all right? John McCain was a jackass, smartass, troublemaker. Okay, he is. He's a smartass jack.
The fire on.
All right, he's number 5, bottom from the class. Trump said 1, so they're making a big deal. Oh my God! But he's bottom of the class because Daddy's an admiral. I have lived a privileged life, and he's a smart aleck. I mean, everything, right? Jackass. So he goes in, follows Dad's footsteps, and I don't want to take too much of our time. And he is a pilot. I would question if he's a good pilot, but that's me. Let's leave it alone. He's a pilot. He does go up, shot down, captured. Okay, that's the reality. Now, in a way, I think that's a blip in the grand scheme of what they always had planned for John. I think that's just a blip on the radar. Oh, we didn't intend that. We intend him to serve, come home. Right. Now, I believe in the deep state. So the guy comes home, right, from the Hanoi Hilton. He was met at the airport by the deep state.
Yeah.
Period. Okay? Now, a lot of people, Carol, his first wife, had a car accident. All right? Her leg, a little shorter than the other. All right. John McCain gets home, no more Carol. Now, why?
She gained weight.
Why we always have to go with there? Stop.
Well, that's just how
I'm on a
shallow.
roll.
Okay.
No,
Oh,
no.
gosh,
Here's
I'm
the
so
thing. I
sorry.
want you to think about this because I think I got some stuff that you're going to go home and think.
Oh yeah.
So when we get off the plane, John McCain gets off the plane. Carol is there. All right. Now answer this: why have you never heard from Carol? Why, when John McCain came home, left her? Why was that just very quiet, never brought up as a conscience? Why have you never? Because the deep state took care of Carol in that. You understand? They took care of it. Carol, we got plans for John. John's got to go to Arizona because John's about to meet his new wife, Cindy, whose dad is the wealthiest Budweiser distributor in the United States.
He's down a rabbit hole
in the United States. So they whisked him away to Arizona. And they said, now look, Barry Goldwater's a senator. We're going to have you go to Washington as a representative for a couple of years. Barry's going to leave. You're going to take over. And it just goes from there. So Carol, you never heard from Carol for years.
I saw an interview.
Not know, yeah, you do.
I did one.
When?
I just saw it maybe
recently,
2 weeks ago.
Right.
And it wasn't. It was a report or something she wrote, but it was. She was totally controlled. She said John took care of us.
Absolutely.
She was controlled through the whole.
The deep state whisked him away. Okay, and he is so deep into what is happening with the President of the United States. He is so deep in the corruption of the Department of Justice, FBI, CIA, and he has been all over the world, period. I have no problem with what the President of the United States said. So I don't want to waste
I don't either. The only thing is he's wasting his time.
Where do you think I'm wrong?
No.
You're not wrong at all.
No.
And in fact,
and I had heard
that part too.
I had heard all about the admiral, his dad. He was the lowest in his class. He was a, when he went over there, I'm sure he was treated very well. But like you said, nobody thought he was going to get shot down.
Wait till you see these 5 guys tell what happened to John McCain.
All right. The point is, I got another question. I want to move on because there's a lot to cover with you two. Without Rick, I'll say it, being here, taking up all the airtime. Okay, if you're out there watching, we do love you, bud.
We did.
So anyhow, on that note, I had Congressman Doug Collins on the show Monday. Was it Monday? Monday morning, Congressman Doug Collins. He is the ranking member of the House Judiciary Committee, and as you guys know, he leaked Bruce Orr's testimony. Then he went to Lisa Page. Then he went to Peter Strzok. Now I asked him in the interview, who is next? Okay, and I asked him, will this lead to the White House? I asked him. He said there's a method to, not to quote him because I have the video, but there's a method to which ones he's releasing at a certain time. All right.
Well planned.
One, he's not releasing all of them because it would be way too much information, and 2, he's doing them in an order, and he kind of left that hanging out there. The next one is. What's his name? The FBI attorney, and it'll come back.
The one that resigned, that has just stepped down from Mueller's investigation.
No. FBI attorney, and I'll get it in a minute. But anyhow, so he's going to release several more. And when I said, does it go to the White House? He said he wasn't going to editorialize it. He was going to let the American people read it. To me, I got the impression it's not going to stop till it gets to the White House because we know Loretta Lynch. It goes to Loretta Lynch.
Oh, you mean to the Obama White House?
Right.
Oh, it's going
no. I am so sorry. I'm so sorry.
Yeah.
The Obama White House.
We're keeping you on course.
Right.
Don't worry.
But it's going to go to the Obama.
Is Baker the guy you're talking about?
Baker,
FBI,
right.
Good.
He's the next one they're going to release.
Right.
And he is the one, the FBI attorney, that said, gross negligence, we need to charge. And Loretta Lynch said no.
Yes.
Okay? So, and what I try to explain, not going down rabbit trails, taking up a lot of time, is your FBI agents go out, and I got somebody out there saying, no, I'm wrong, but still yet they go out, they do all this investigation, and they bring it in, and they lay it on an FBI attorney's desk. It says, what charges can we get out of that?
Right.
And that's their job. So when Baker says, hey, we got gross negligence, that means he's taken the investigation that he has, and he said, we got gross negligence, and they said no. So that being said, I think as things get released, there's a reason the president's doing this. When things get released, you're going to see John McCain's name deeper in there, I think. Now, it might be in some of that redacted stuff, but I think he's in there deeper.
The fifth level, Dante had how many? 7, 10, 11. How many levels is there in Dante's Divine Comedy? I've forgotten. I read that in the 8th grade. I can't remember. But to go down to about the 9th level, McCain actually was interrogated, they say, in the 9th level, but it's reputable 9th level. I mean, I'm saying he was interrogated by the White Hats, the Trump and the people who are looking into that. He really confessed to many, many, many things, and they say that the arrangement made was that if McCain would confess all this, write it down, it's all taped, that then he would be allowed to have this king's funeral, president's funeral. They say if he, because no senator gets that. No. If he does that, they will preserve his integrity and his legacy. But and so he, or they're going to expose everything, and his family will go down the tubes too. So he chose, I will confess, I'll have a big funeral. But it's going to be so devastating what they find that he has done to our country, and has been all the way back. You see him with Hillary, he'll hug her when he was in, they hug, they talk, they whisper. Do you think I would hug Hillary Clinton? I would jump off the Brooklyn Bridge.
We're going to have to pull you back from there. I've known you long enough. We need to pull you back right now.
So John McCain, I mean, people are going to know, and I believe, and it's going to be really a problem when all this comes out, because people are going to be
We're going to get off John McCain. I'll tell you why.
Okay.
I guess I'm here with two ladies, and I'm asking for the last word. How does this happen? All right, no, but Meghan McCain is a spoiled brat. Shut up, Meghan. You were born, and you had a pony, and you had everything you wanted, and your daddy was there, and you come from wealth, and shut up. We don't want to hear it. All right, moving right along.
Okay.
I want to ask you, too, because I've been thinking about this and getting this opportunity. Now, yesterday I was on the phone with she is retired, but very accomplished attorney. I mean, an amazing person, very accomplished career, retired. And I'm talking to this lady, and and then she says, "Are you going to do everything to help us get Donald reelected?" And I said, we were talking about something else, and I said, so you support the president? Absolutely. I love my president. Now, this is an educated woman, okay? I get nervous here because I'm always sitting next to my English teacher. All right, so this is an educated woman. You taught for years. You're a very educated woman. What I want to get at is this conversation I was having yesterday with this lady, an attorney. How do you feel when the media degrades you as a woman of a lack of intelligence because you support the President of the United States?
Is smoke coming out my ears? Can you see it? Can you see it? I mean, because
the way they talk about a Trump supporter, well, I mean, how does it really make you feel knowing, you spent your whole life, you raised your families, I mean, not going into detail, I know both of you, know several, and you raised your family, your kids, you worked your whole life, you paid your taxes, you're educated adults. How does it make you feel when the media like NBC, CNN, try to put you in a level, how does it make you feel?
I don't even have words to describe it, because it's been going on so long, and it's getting worse and worse. And the hypocrisy, that word just pops up with me every day when I see it, and it's beyond any imagination, the amount of how hypocrisy shows its face. But they do that to conservative women. I don't care if they have their PhD, if they're a wonderful mother who lives on a farm that tills the land. Hello, anybody, they do that. And at first, I would stomp around the kitchen. I do that a lot, stomping around the
Brussels
kitchen.
Sprouts are
I
out
know.
there.
Last night it was shrimp and pasta.
Right. Okay.
But
so you stomp around the kitchen.
Yeah, but now, I have to sit back and say, I am wasting my energy. So I'm trying to just take a deep breath, but because it really upset me, and deeply it did. I mean, it just is maddening.
What say you when the way they talk about yourself?
Right. Well, they talk me. I mean, men. A lot of people they're talking about when they're degrading people who vote for Trump.
That's it.
And I can't say that I get angry. I really just kind of blow it off. I think the media is at the bottom of the barrel. They have no, the country doesn't think much of them according to their ratings. They're at the bottom of the barrel. I think the Democrat Party has gone to the bottom of the barrel. And when I hear people say things like that, it probably bothers me, and I probably come back with comments. I had a comment the other day. Some woman was making a comment about something, and her hashtag was "not my president." And I went back and I said, "Oh yes, he is your president if you live in this country. If you live in this country, he's your president. You don't have to like it, but he's your president. So, cut the hashtag. He's your president." And when they say that, that's the way I feel about him. He's my president. I think he's doing a great job. I would love some of his rhetoric to be toned down. I think, and I do agree with some of the people that are saying right now, he needs to get off the McCain and other things. He needs to, okay, he said it. We've heard it. I agree with him. You agree with him. But let's move on to things that are much more important. And I think he's done that too. It's kind of amazing to me that he can do the things he does and still fight back like he does.
In a way, it's funny because, like I know this, throughout the week, there's several things, but one of the biggest things where my show is Monday through Thursday is I do study the media. I watch all the Sunday shows, and at 4 a.m. I start watching CNN, and I start watching MSNBC, and I watched Morning Joe this morning. And I do that to see where they're going. And I hate, the only way I know how to call it, they're the enemy, and you got to know where the enemy's at.
Right.
But what is funny when you say he needs to get off that, it's hilarious how that messes them up.
Oh, yeah.
All right, if Trump got up at 5 this morning, he says, all right, let's see if I can mess up Joe's day. He says, McCain, McCain, McCain. Next thing you know, Minka and Joe are on there doing 20 minutes of a war hero, and he's got to be sitting back. It cracks him up. So that being said, now we don't want to run out of time. You said you had a surprise. What I like to do on the panel is give you an opportunity to say, is there a subject or something you wanted to discuss today so we don't forget it? And so, Jane, I want to start with you because you said it's a surprise. You want to tell me, so I am waiting. You can go. Not that you can't be. Our guest could not be first, but you caught me with that.
Well, you know what? It's not political. I was just thinking this morning when I was preparing for the show and looking so forward to this. I thought about the Philadelphia Eagles.
Okay,
and
go right
the
ahead.
reason,
let's hear this.
Remember when, I don't know his name, their main quarterback got injured and that new guy came in, he won the Super Bowl from us. You know what? Second string came. Rick and Bruce may better watch out because here we are.
Oh my gosh! Did you just pick up?
I mean, we could go. Whoa.
Did you just pick up where she went with that?
Hello.
I'm wondering.
Just wondering what y'all think.
No, that was great because when you said Eagles, I'm thinking, okay, where is Jane going? And remember when the quarterback got so what's? Wow, I picked that up. You better be careful out there, guys.
Yeah. So I'm having a great time. I mean, I am just having a great time.
Well, we
this should be an interlude now and then.
Got it. I got it.
Women speak. The women speak, right?
Exactly. We'll go through all the contracts and see where we're obligated.
Yeah, right. I'm not signing anything.
Cindy, what say you this morning? What did you?
Well, the only thing I actually. Rick says to me last night, well, are you going to prepare? And I went, for what?
That's what I thought.
And he said, well, aren't you going to prepare for the show? And I go, what am I supposed to prepare?
I live prepared.
I said, I read what I read in the morning, and I listen to what I listen to, and I have opinions. And I said, luckily, Brian will bring up subjects, and we'll kind of tell what we think about it. However, I did... As I was going through reading things, I saw the one article that I mentioned earlier, and it was mainly about, and I have to pick up my notes because I don't know what he said, but it was a newspaper guy who actually, it said that he, I think, was from some of the other networks that we don't like to listen to especially, but he said he's tired of newscasters misrepresenting what President Trump says. Oh, Imagine that. Yeah, misrepresenting. And that news anchor, he starts out with news anchors and pundits have repeated lies about Donald Trump and about race and everything else so often that some of their narratives seem true to a lot of Americans who aren't reading a lot of other things. But his big thing was Charlottesville and the white supremacist thing, and of course they're pushing that and pushing that and pushing that now. Neo-Nazi, white supremacist, and all that. And he said, I'm tired of people telling lies about what he actually said. And they said, that he praised the white supremacists. Well, what he actually said was, excuse me, they didn't put themselves down as neo-Nazis, and they had some very bad people in that group. But you also had people who were very fine people on both sides. What have you been hearing when you hear about what he said about white supremacists? They're very fine people. That's
on both, yeah.
That's what they've cut out of it.
They're
very
right.
fine people.
Right? Oh yeah, I'm with
you.
He
said they're very fine people on both sides. You had people in that group, excuse me, so he's talking to the reporters, telling them, let him talk. I saw the same picture as you did. You had people in that group that were there to protest the taking down of, to them, a very, very important statue and the renaming of a park from Robert E. Lee to another name. And then some other question came up and Trump became more explicit. He was trying to tell them. He said, I'm not talking about the neo-Nazis and white nationalists because they should be condemned totally. So that's what he said. They should be condemned totally, but you don't hear that. They pull out the part about they're fine people. And, and I've read that several times, and I thought, fine people? No. I can't imagine that he would have said they were fine people. He didn't say that. But what he did say, the most powerful version from the White House following Charlottesville and the heartbreaking death of Heather Heyer, President Trump's succinct, that's a good word, and direct words, racism is evil, and those who cause violence in its names are criminals and thugs, including the KKK, neo-Nazis, white supremacists, and other hate groups that are repugnant to everything we hold dear as Americans. That's what he said.
Let me ask you a question because
I have a thought. Okay, 9:30.
All right. Let me ask you a question on that because I'm glad you brought that up. Do you feel, yes or no, that there's an invasion on our southern border?
Yes.
Oh, yes.
Okay. All right.
Huge.
Okay. So over in New Zealand, they read this guy's manifesto, and they took a word, invaders, and they doubled it over Trump calling the people coming across the southern border invaders. And they have done segments on CNN, MSNBC. They have done hour segments on the word invaders, and this being in that dossier, and Trump saying, and I'm like, people, you have lost your mind.
Oh, yeah.
Now, quickly, tragedy. We don't have time to get into New Zealand tragedy. But the Prime Minister of New Zealand said, all right, they've already passed a law.
Right.
In 1 week. By the end of the week, I hate when they say military-style weapons. There are no military weapons, and they're not military-style. They're weapons, okay? But period. By the end of the week, assault rifles, whatever you want to call them, they can't sell them no more. By the end of the week, you need to turn them in. They'll buy them back, and you have so long. And it's a crime by Friday. Turn in your gun.
It's starting.
Now, by the end of the week in New Zealand, you're supposed to line up and hand your gun, move to the next table, they'll pay you for it, and take it away from you.
I've got pictures of Germany. They're doing the same thing.
Right. And you think it won't happen here.
Hello.
Oh. There's no way that's, there's no way it's not going to happen eventually.
Eventually. And now immediately on the media they start talking, and we know the ones we're talking about, they start talking about common sense gun legislation.
Right. Yeah.
Okay, so
common sense. We have common sense.
Yes, you do.
That's very important over anything else.
Right.
Okay, the two of you settle down. Okay, but we do have just a couple more minutes, so I want to make sure. I'd like to combine your last topic of what you want to say with if you want to do winners and losers. So we'll go with you and let our guest here, our first-time guest, finish this segment.
Well, first of all, anyone who knows me knows I can't remember names. It's very difficult for me, and even when I was young, it's not dementia. But on the fake news thing, I just wanted to. I see CNN segments when someone on Fox puts them in to make their point. That's when I see the hypocrisy of.
Right.
Okay, so the young man that was at the Capitol where the Indian came up.
Yes.
So I mean, that was just all over
Nick
CNN.
Sanderson.
They were terrible. But now I had seen the original video where at first the black Muslim Christians or somebody, I don't know, Jewish.
Black.
They initiated the whole thing. And that never got on CNN, but now someone had the courage, I don't know if it was Fox, they showed the entire video and it's obvious. CNN saying, we said what we knew when we knew. I mean, something like that. So people who only watch that news media are the other ones. They really haven't got a chance. It's kind of like when we were in school and they taught us XYZ, but it was really ABC, and we didn't know. So that is a huge problem because
How upset? I don't want to lose our time, and I know you want this question.
Okay.
How you want this question? How upset are you that Fox News cut a deal with Donna Brazile?
Oh,
as upset as when they let Janine Pirro go. I mean, are they crazy?
That's the second
Yeah.
thing. I was looking at the clock and I said,
blistering
we
text.
got to ask this question.
Blistering text about it.
So
Unbelievable.
I think if you bring Donna Brazile in, why not even hire Brian Williams?
Why not get Obama to be a guest now and then?
Are you,
I mean,
are
why
you worried
not?
that
Yeah.
this? I always say be concerned about Fox. Don't
Yeah,
take
yeah.
Fox, okay? But are you worried you're one little bastion of hope that a media is in trouble?
Yeah,
I mean,
Shepard Smith ought to go, and Trump said the same thing. I mean,
what
but
do you
he's
say
been
about
there.
Judge Janine being?
she told the truth. She responded to truth. What she said was truth. She's a judge. She believes it. You know, it's her First Amendment right. When you've got somebody like Ilhan Omar out there saying what she says, and
Lordy.
for Judge Shapiro to come back and say what she thinks about what she said and speak the truth, and to be censored for it, there's no excuse for it. And Ocasio-Cortez, did you hear now that she doesn't want people calling her Cortez?
Yes.
That's not her name.
It never was her name.
But she is a constant with where exactly what I read earlier, where she never quite finishes out what Trump has said or what somebody she doesn't agree with. She reports that little bitty thing that she pulls out that fits her. You know, they can say whatever they want, whenever they want, but you get a Judge Janine that comes out and speaks truth getting censored. It irritates me knowing.
I can't remember the last time. I'm serious that I've been this upset with Fox with that Donna Brazile deal. I
agree with you.
Yeah.
Well, I think
I didn't mean to interrupt
No, that's
you,
a
but I
problem.
knew
That's
if we
good.
did.
Keep us on track.
Well, no, I knew if we didn't bring that up or Judge Janine, you'd probably say, "Oh,
Yeah.
we should." So I want to say, okay, winners and losers.
I want to say this.
Say.
Besides that, I'm sick of our new mayor in Atlanta doing what she did with ISIS. Everyone can look into that. But the thing is that now I've forgotten what I was going to say. I hate that when that happens. I'm serious.
You know
What
where
happens
your
to
car,
all
you know
of
where your
us?
car keys are? That's the second thing that goes.
Yeah.
Where the car keys go.
You go.
Okay.
I'm
You
thinking.
go.
I can tell you. Okay. What do we usually start with, winners or losers?
However you want. Winners or
Okay.
losers.
Well, my
I remember.
go.
Well, hang on. Do you remember? Because we don't
While
want to
she's-
lose it. This
while
could
she's
happen
thought
again.
of it, go.
Go.
I want everyone to read 1984. I read that in high school, or I don't know when I read it, but I was very young, and we all say it's like someone saying the world's going to turn into three worlds. I mean, it was so outrageous,
Right.
and you just couldn't believe it. And we're there, and people have been saying we're there for quite a while when we weren't really even there, but we are there. And so if you would take the time to go through that book and read it, you are going to see where we are headed. And it is very important for people to know and believe that's where we're headed. Because if we don't stand up and say, this is not where I'm headed. I'm not advocating riots. I'm just advocating getting out there, being vocal, share things on social media
Wear your
about
hat.
where we are, wear your hat. that is imperative that we do that, or we are going to be in 1984. You know what? The author of that skips my brain.
George Orwell.
George Orwell.
Yeah.
Fahrenheit 451.
Yeah, Fahrenheit 451 will blow your hat in the creek. You have got to read those books. Please do it.
Yes.
Winners and losers.
My winner for the week is Donald Trump. He has, with everything going on, he has protected Israel. He has basically ended the caliphate, which not a lot of people are talking about.
ISIS, yes.
And he has just signed a bill to protect freedom of speech on
college
colleges,
campuses.
Unbelievable.
And we need that desperately.
College campus, freedom of speech, signed an order, recognized. Now, the media is messed up, so don't trust them. He is the first president to recognize the sovereignty of Israel with the Golan Heights.
Exactly.
Okay, and the caliphate of ISIS has been destroyed in Syria.
Right.
They won't tell you that.
And that's
Good move.
all come forward this week.
You
where
got a
they're
loser?
talking about. My loser
Now,
is...
you don't have time to do losers.
No, I do have two losers,
Okay,
but I'm
go
only
for
going
it.
to come up with my top loser, who
You
I
got
think
3 minutes.
is a major loser, and that's Beto O'Rourke.
Francis. Don't come on here and say
Richard Francis, isn't it? Richard
Yeah,
Francis?
something like that.
Richard
Yeah, okay,
Francis
Francis.
O'Rourke,
Yeah,
something of
okay.
that type, okay? He dreams of killing babies. He eats dirt. I mean, this guy is the grandstanding. I wrote this down so I wouldn't forget it. And then he lies about his heritage, along with another senator that's running for president. And he runs his mouth. He's running his mouth now about there might be, we might need some walls, but we really don't have a crisis at the border.
he
Why
wants
do
to
you
tear 'em
build a
down.
wall when there is no crisis? He's been very vocal.
He's an empty shirt.
He's an
period.
empty shirt. He dances. He gets on his skateboard. I think he is the biggest creep.
Someone said last night he's the first skateboarding middle schooler who's ever run for president.
I like it. You got one more real quick if you want to get another
My
one out?
loser
Yeah,
is Ocasio-Cortez, who will be on the cover of Time magazine that is coming out
lands.
April 1st. So I'm assuming it's an April Fool's joke because I can't even. April 1st, she's coming out on the cover of Time magazine as the new leader of the Democrat Party.
All right, let me ask you a question. Can you answer this? Because I don't have time to look it up.
April Fool's. That will be an
Is
April
it not
Fool's.
Washington State Governor? Is it Inslee? Is he running for president?
He's talking about it.
But he's the one. He's out, and his big thing's climate change, right?
Oh,
Right.
yeah.
Okay. So, folks, let me close with this. Okay. Years ago, I used to have the old binder. Now we have our computers. And I went to the Franklin Covey seminar on how to organize my day. And I always lived for years with the ABC. If it was an A, I needed to finish it today. If it's a B, I can hold it off to tomorrow. And C, I can actually institute a little bit of procrastination. But I believe in priorities. I just do. In our business, in our life, I like to go home. Sometimes I'm told by my wife that our life is not all a business, but I like to prioritize, okay? That being said, Inslee, I think, is the governor. If I'm wrong, let's just go with it. Inslee is the governor of Washington State. So he's decided he's going to run for president. He is going across this country, and his number one A priority is climate change. Oh, that's it. We're all going to die. It's coming soon. But guess what? Also in Washington State, someone that's in this country illegally killed a police officer yesterday.
again.
We have a problem with the priorities. A problem. All I'm going to ask you to do is go this afternoon, take 30 minutes of your life, Google illegals killing children, Google this, all you got to put in, killing mothers, illegals. Just start putting some things in, and you will be amazed at what's going on in this country. But yet they yell, green climate deal is a priority. I think we have a disaster. I think we have an invasion, and we have a national emergency on our southern border that has to be handled now. And another senseless murder in this country by somebody that should not be here in the first place should take priority. Americans should be first. Sorry how that sounded. We're going to take a break, and we got Jessie Barton come in. Now, I have a test for her. I got a test.
Glad we're leaving.
I don't think she can pass the test. I don't think she can. Does she want to stick? You want to stick around?
Too.
No, she won't. No, she won't. Stick around. Ladies, thank you so much. This was great. And I love the Philadelphia Eagle thing. Guys, you better be watching. Take us to commercial.